to another episode of the new Labor Movement Show. I am one of your hosts, Troy.
I am still Ray.
Back to talk another week of local law, labor, and politics. Oh, what we got coming up now? Big thing right now happening in the news cycle is the stimulus, the COVID relief bill.
Look at that! I know. I knew they were going to get something done because it's the way they always do stuff. Oh, they want to. They want to load it up and they want to make sure that at the end of the day. So no, I mean, how do you give people 5,600 pages, 5 hours to read it, and then you want people to vote on it?
I always like to hear. I would love to hear that debate because I love to hear some of the stuff that sticks out. Because you can only see what happened in the news. And when the narrative that I see happening in the news is the Democratic Party wants to give people more money and the Republican Party doesn't want to give people money. And that's the constant narrative.
And you know what? And you can make an argument for both. See, I have no issue. I just don't think that sending out blanket checks for everyone does anything. And you're printing money that we don't have to give to people who haven't suffered. Now, if you're telling me I would love to give enhanced unemployment to people who've lost their job or the government has shut them down and they can't work, I want to compensate businesses that have been forced to shut down, either because their industry is, people just aren't going to show up because like the airline industry, or if you're in the restaurant business, the government should be paying you something because you did nothing wrong, and now they're telling you can't have anyone in there or it's restricted or anything like that. I have no problem with that. I have no problem with them getting a moratorium or find a way to pay landlords. I just don't, like I said, I got the check the first time. It wasn't welcome. I just don't, why?
Question I have is, one side is fighting to give people more money. Even you say 600 is not enough, 2,000 not enough. One portion is saying give the people 2,000, and the other side is saying no, 2,000 is too much money. Even you said 600 ain't enough, 2,000 ain't even enough, and you got one side fighting to give people the little 2,000, and one side fighting and saying no, don't give them any money. What the hell is that?
Because you have to see, you have to look big picture. There are other ways you can target the money. Now, if you want to tell me you're going to give everyone $2,000 and you're going to stop unnecessary spending on something else, then fine. You want to take it out of the defense budget, you want to take it out of the wall budget, You want to take it out of another spot, go ahead. Because at the end of the day, we've already blown a hole in this budget for $1 trillion this year. Now we're going to do $2 trillion behind. I mean, eventually, I hate to tell you this, someone has to pay this. Someone.
Yeah, I mean, listen.
Someone's going to have to pay this.
It wasn't like this was happening because of any it was because of the pandemic why we're in this position. Right. But the question is, if you're gonna say come up with something different, right now it's the only solution on the table. I haven't heard an alternative. We need to give the people money because people right now are in a dire situation. Let's give them $2,000.
I agree. I just don't think that
$2,000 is too much money. Why is anybody rooting for the side that's saying don't give those people any money? Who the hell is rooting for them?
Why? Because the reason why, and it makes perfect sense in the sense that
it makes sense what I'm saying, not to give people the money.
Think about it. You're a teacher. You have not lost one paycheck. You have not lost one anything. You have lost nothing. Your pay is the same. Everything is the same. You get a $2,000 check. Why would you not take that money for that person who's been working the whole time and then put that in a pool for people who haven't? Like, in other words,
yeah, but they don't have to though. It doesn't have to be and or. And the question also is, if I'm a teacher and I've been working all this time while say people have been sitting home and collecting checks, shouldn't I get an extra $2,000 for me sacrificing and going out and being an essential worker and keeping the place running like it's supposed to? Why shouldn't I get my $2,000? Why not?
Because you did it. First of all, most school systems are closed, especially the bigger ones. There are some that are open and there are some that are not. And if you go in and you get paid, you get paid. I don't understand what people don't understand about money. No one should be getting money for nothing. And that's my only issue with this. If
So,
you want,
so are you saying that all the people out of work, or the people who everybody else should not, who the people who had to stay home should not be getting money?
no, in other words, if I'm a teacher and I've been working the whole time and I haven't lost a paycheck, that I should not get the 600, the 1,200, or the 2,000.
So
My
listen,
money.
if that's the case, then when everybody else was able to stay home and get money, and that's because they told them to stay home and they weren't essential workers. So why would one group of people have to go because they consider essential, put in the work and operate as normal while everybody else stayed home and collect a check? And the people who had to risk their lives to go out to work because they told them they had to, not get compensated for that.
You're getting, again, that's another whole separate issue. But in other words, why should people who have not lost a paycheck and who have not been harmed economically be getting money that eventually everyone's going to have to pay back?
I just told you, because they're the ones that had to risk. They're the ones that had to continue to go out because they were considered essential. You think they wouldn't have just liked to stay home and collect checks while everybody else was staying home and collecting checks?
But here's the difference. They didn't, because their industry was open.
Right. Who made that decision? They didn't make that decision through no fault of their own. They were essential workers and they had to go out and do it. They did what was needed to keep the.
You don't think that the restaurant people, all these people would rather just stay home and would rather just go to work? People don't want to stay home. I mean, listen, there's always a percentage of people who just want to stay home and collect money, but whatever, losers. How about you go out and you earn your money? That's all I'm saying.
Wait. What does that have to do with anything? The people couldn't go out and earn their money. And
right. Again, I'm for them.
The people that did, you saying they should just be like, all right, forget it. And this is the whole thing. People don't want to go out and have to work while other people are stay home and collecting a check. If you tell me now that I have to work while everybody else,
oh God, Troy, that's victim. That's the type of person I hate the most.
What's that?
Victim. Oh, that person got something I didn't. Give me my money. I hate that. Victim is everyone's a victim. Don't be a victim. Your job is open. Listen, I worked through the whole pandemic. I worked. I stayed home 6 weeks. I went back to work. I'm not looking for any extra money. I worked.
Did you cash that $1,200 check?
No, I never. I was one of the people who never received it.
Oh, you didn't receive it? Okay.
No. And when I called, but I didn't want it. In other words, when I called up and I told them, I said, listen, I haven't received it. They said they'll look into it. They never got back to me. I never received a check. And I went on the website and everything. Never cash, never nothing. Just whatever.
No, I don't understand. It's not just like, okay, they said I could go to work, so I keep going to work. The people weren't going to work just like, oh, it's a normal day. People were going out at a risk to themselves that they didn't want to take because they had to, either whether they felt necessary to do business to keep the city running or just forced to because they had fear of losing their job. They went out and did it. I think those people should be compensated on top of what everybody else gets, and
I disagree.
Not at a loss to everybody else.
I don't think they're at a loss. I think, in other words, I think that
let me ask you a simple question. So you think the majority of people says, if everyone else is going to stay home, 70% of the people get to stay home and get paid. I have to go to work to get the same pay. I want to sign up for that. You think that's what most people would say?
I'm not saying that's what they want or what they did. I'm just saying that, you know what? When do we start telling people you went into work, we appreciate your service, and then whatever? I mean, I would much rather take care of people who have been economically harmed than not. You know what? Listen, if you want to take care of those people, if you could, to me, a better way to do it would be if you can prove that you went to work, which would be easy. You'd be able to say, listen, I work this amount. I normally make this much money. I made this much money. However, and then let me write off, like, in other words, give me like a COVID relief write-off. I can write $5,000 off or $10,000 off my taxes. Then actually send everyone out a check, which is such a small nominal number that it actually does nothing other than say, listen, we just wasted $300 billion and it really hasn't done anything. Even if you give 2,000, here you go. Because think about this. If you're that in desperate straits, the 2,000 isn't going to get you out. And if you've been working the whole time, the 2,000 isn't going to, doesn't make or break you either way. So to me, even the 2000 is just pointless. Find a better way to get to the people who have been economically harmed. When and where do we eventually start saying, where, we can't, the country can't afford this?
I love the fact when the people say we can't afford this, we can't afford this, when they're willing to blow a bunch of money on military, when they blow a bunch of money on tax cuts to the rich that didn't need it. If the people who made money during this pandemic, it was a statistic came out, they can give a
of course
$1,000 check to every person in the United States, and they would just be back at that super rich point they were before the pandemic.
Fine. Listen, if you want to tell me if you telling me
I like
how
everyone is willing to give out money, and there's no problem when they want to give it out to rich and corporations. But as soon as the regular people have to get it, like, come on, man, that's too much money. Where are we going to get all that money from? It's ridiculous. And I don't understand the people who fight, the people who are on the receiving end of all that torment, fighting for the other people who are saying, yeah, don't give those guys anything.
Listen, if you want to give the money out, I can't stop anyone. I'm just saying I don't see the point. I just don't see why giving people $2,000 for not being economically harmed, and when that money should only be going to, forget about all the pork that they put in these bills. Right now we're in a pandemic. We should not. We're trying to take care of Americans. We should be given one. There should not be one nickel given to any country or any charity or anything. Every ounce of money needs to go to people who have been economically affected by this pandemic. And that, to me, that's my standard. You've been forced out of work, or you've been forced to close your business. We got to take care of you. If you haven't been economically hurt, God bless you. You have a job, you're doing well, and you know what? Be happy.
All right, so let's leave that point to the side again, because that's like who you think should get it and who you think shouldn't. And the $2,000 check is one part of it. The next part, what they were trying to say is to put back in the additional money paid for people who are unemployment, extended unemployment benefits, and putting more money to it. They're against that as well.
No, that's in there. By the way, that's always been. By the way, the Republican, even the short bill, the one that was like 570 billion or something, like the skinny bill. Even the skinny bill had money in it to extend unemployment.
Yeah,
both sides.
And they had to fight for that, though. The Democratic Party had to fight the Republican Party for it.
No, everything's a negotiation.
Amount of money. Why negotiate? Why would that even be a negotiation?
I want to give you something. You got to give me something.
No.
I mean, I think it's hysterical. This is typical. This is typical. You. Oh, the Republicans this, the Republicans that. The deal believe it or not, the deal they took 2 days ago, 5 days ago, they could have had in July. Basically, 95% of everything that's in there. And if you want, and here's the other thing: the Republicans actually, to make this deal work, Republicans, and I'm not carrying water for Republicans. I'm carrying water for, let's be real. And the Republicans for the longest time said, listen, we can't give you a bill. It's dead on arrival unless you give businesses,
liability,
a way that if someone catches COVID through no fault of their own at their business, they can't be sued.
Liability.
In other words, you have to do due diligence. That's not in by the way, that's not in that bill. Republicans gave that up to make sure that people could get some relief.
Yes, like you act like they did a big thing. They made it so the corporations can't involve themselves.
You got to think big.
When you
got to think, you're not thinking big picture. In other words, I'm a guy. I caught COVID in ShopRite. Hold on. I think I caught COVID in ShopRite in February. Before anyone knew anything was anything. I'm going to sue them and try to make money from that. Meanwhile, no one knew anything. Just so you know, that bill was not giving people like carte blanche where, guess what? You have to come into work. We're not going to give you masks. We're not going to give you sanitizer. Because you can't behave that way.
What you mean? In other words, what was it then? That exactly was. It was you weren't
due diligence. In other words, what a reasonable person would do due diligence.
Due diligence in the court system. That means I get to bring a case against you. If the judge sees that the case is frivolous, it gets thrown out. Not to say that, well, because of everything has happened with the pandemic, you don't even get an opportunity to come in and sue me. But once again, we're moving away from the point. My point, let's get one first. Even as you say with the bill before, the Republican Party wanted to not give the extension of unemployment benefits. They wanted
Not true.
to not give the I think it was 600 they were asking for, and then 300 they didn't want to give them that. Everything they wanted to reduce. They didn't want that to be part of a bill at all. When you said it was in there before, it was because it was fought to get to that point.
Again, I think you're being, as usual, you're a little fast and loose there. Everything is a negotiation, and yes, they negotiated that so that the Republicans could get something else. In other words, are you happy with the fact that the Democrats they wanted to negotiate, which would mean less money for people. They wanted to make sure that illegal aliens, people here who here illegally, were going to get taxpayer money. Take away money from people who are here legally doing the right thing. Are you for that?
I don't know. I please tell me what part of the bill is, because I haven't seen that. But I would also like to say, though, when you say stuff is up for negotiation, absolutely agree. Why would it be up for negotiations that people are suffering during pandemic should get less money? Why would that even be? Why would either side have a problem with the people who are a part of a pandemic getting more money? Why is that up for negotiation?
Listen, I guess you have to get, you have 100 people in the Senate and 435, I think, in the House. You have to find something that the majority of 535 people can vote on. So obviously, yeah, there's certain things you're going to have 20, 30 guys here, 20, 30 women there. So that's one thing. So that's why you have to kind of go here, go there. And you have to kind of cater to this. It kind of gets watered down.
You explain that.
I don't think that, it is, let's be realistic. We had guys in many of the unions, when they were getting the $600, the company would call them up and say, listen, we're opening work. And they were making more money staying home than going to work. They say, no, I don't want to go in. And I'm not saying that's a big thing, but I do think that you should be, in other words, I don't think you should do anything that incentivizes people staying home. And I think the 600 at first was very fair. They did that for X amount of weeks. And then you come down to 400 or 300 or 500. I know Democrats wanted to put 600 for everybody.
Definitely agree.
And then
that's why I say, like I said before, it incentivizes people to stay home because they were staying home and making more money than they were working. That's why I say it should not have been representative of what your economic condition was. So now imagine that the people that went to work got an additional money on top of what they were making and they came out better. That would be a more incentive, like, hey, you know what? Let's keep the economy moving and everybody working, and I can get money on top of what I'm getting. Not when I'm going to go, like you just said it, I'm going to go to work and work when I can stay home and make more money. Then you just proving the point that I was saying. People don't want to go to work and have to do work when people are staying home and getting money. It doesn't work out that way.
Yeah, but guess what? I really have no sympathy for people who want to stay home and make more money staying home. I think I'm just rubs me the wrong way. And you know what? I'm not saying that people if you have lost your job and your office is not, I mean, first of all, there's so many layers and shades to this, because there are plenty of people whose office was closed and they were still getting paid. My wife her office was closed, and yet she was still getting a full paycheck because she could do her job from home.
Right. Let me ask you, so you're saying,
what about those people? Should those people who should, in other words, I'm home because I could do my job on the computer. Should I now receive more money because I was brave enough to get on the computer?
No, maybe you shouldn't receive it, but I'm not going to be upset that you receive any extra money.
I'm not upset. What I'm doing
I'm not going to fight to try to keep the people who are hurting from getting money so you don't get extra money. I'm not going to do that.
So then, all right, so now, we blow a hole in the budget for $2 billion, $2 trillion. When is enough?
You should, we could have asked that 4 years ago from the 3 trillion or 2 trillion that we blew in the budget when we gave a bunch of tax cuts. So the question is, why do you want to give out money for certain stuff, but when the money starts to start helping the people, now I got to reel it back?
No, because you know what? Because you're being facetious again.
Giving major tax cuts to corporations and hoping for trickle down economics to work.
By the way, I think trickle down economics is is a liberal way of saying supply side economics, which has proven to work sometimes, but also has proven not to work in other times. Because if the economy is going well, if the economy is booming, you can use supply side economics. You act like taxes are the only reason why an economy would do that. You know, there's 101 reasons you could have a recession that has nothing to do with taxes.
I understand, but it always seems to relate to trickle-down economics. No one could prove that that model has worked every time they tried it. Not under Reagan, not under the Bushes, and I'm pretty sure you could go back on numerous administrations besides that where it hasn't worked. I think it's the same thing that created the Great Depression.
You realize Reagan had about like 3 years of 7% growth, right? And the economy was roaring along.
And I could pull statistics to show you that the implementation of policies that Reagan put in place led to the decline of the unionization workforce, which led to the decline of wages overall in the long term. So you want to pull statistics? I just forget the statistics. I just talk about what it is, what happened, and you tell me where giving a bunch of money to the rich side of America and hoping that they're generous enough to give out jobs ever worked. It hasn't.
I think you get boom. I think you had it on. It's been mixed because there have been times you have gotten it and it has worked. And there have been times you use it and it hasn't worked.
Let's boil this down to one question that I wanted to ask.
Go ahead.
One side is voting for or fighting for everyday workers and the working people to get more money, and the other side is vying for them to not get that money or get less.
Listen,
are you saying that's an untrue statement? I see you shaking your head. Are you saying that is an untrue statement?
No, I'm saying that what you're doing is I think that you're falling for them giving you nice curtains when they don't give a shit about the house.
No. Forget about the curtains. This is an issue, and you could bring up any issue, and you could tell me what people are fighting for. Like you said, bring any issue to the table, let them discuss it, and then you go from there. One side is fighting to give people more money at a time of pandemic, while the other side is fighting to not give people any of that money or less.
All right. Listen, and that is on paper, that is what it does look like. And I do believe Democrats were looking for 2,000 and Republicans at one point offered 1,200. They have always been on board for enhanced unemployment. They just don't want people making more money to stay home than to go to work. I think that's a reasonable ask. And they also are, what they're trying to do is they're trying to make it easier to, instead of giving a handout, they want to give a hand up. In other words, instead of me giving you $2,000 and placating you because, look, I got $2,000, they love me, which is not true. Because neither party really gives a crap about the working person. I can give you 15 examples on both sides of the aisle, but that's neither here nor there. But I got a $2,000 check. They must love me. Whereas most people, at least most people that I would respect, would rather, you know what? They're going to do something so that I can open my business and I can bring my workers back and we can
that's totally separate from the. I just want to hear what's your side of the argument for them to say, no, those people shouldn't get that money. Because that's the argument that's happening. So what is your side of the argument that makes them, you know what? I can listen to that argument and say, you know what? They're right. What is their argument for saying, no, those people?
It's the argument I've given you 14 times, and here's number 15. They don't want to incentivize people to stay home. They want, I think.
Okay. So they should not give people money during the pandemic because they incentivize people to go home.
Again, they have always been for, if you've lost your job, you do qualify, you should get unemployment, and Republicans have always said, even enhanced, we have no problem giving people extra money because of their lives and it's a pandemic.
No, that's not what happened. They wanted to end employment. They didn't want to extend the benefits. They didn't want to put any money on top of it.
You'll be able to show me the bill that Republicans put up that said that we want no extra money for.
They didn't put up any bill like that. It's just that when the Democratic Party fought to give people money, they said that had to come out of the bill. They fought against it. So they didn't put up a bill saying, oh no, they didn't put up a bill saying, no, we want to give them 12 and you want to give them 2,000. It's just every time that they would put up a bill giving people money, they would say, no, we don't want that in there.
Again, a little misleading. I think you're drinking some Kool-Aid over there because I have never seen a bill where Republicans said no one gets unemployment and no one gets anything on top of it. Now, you can argue and say that maybe Democrats wanted 600 and Republicans wanted 300. That's a fair argument, and I guess you can make an argument for the 6 or the 3. I guess it's your perspective, but nowhere ever did the Republicans say no extra money. That's never been out there ever.
Okay.
The president offered. The president had, think about it. The president himself, who is the leader of the Republican Party, offered. He actually wrote a bill for an executive order to give certain federal workers who will covered by the federal government the extra 400. He has floated 1,200 many times, and he's now in favor of 2,000. Now, I could disagree with him in the sense that where is the spending coming from, but to pretend that Republicans are Mr. and Mrs. Evil and the Democrats are Mr. and Mrs. Saint, I believe is a little bit, it's a little drinking the Kool-Aid. And listen, I agree.
He's drinking the Kool-Aid, but you can't tell me anything different. You can't tell me one side is saying give it, other side is saying don't give it, and that's just the plain simple facts of it.
No. That's like someone saying I want to give you $5 or I want to give you $10. It's not someone saying I want to give you $10 or I want to give you no money.
No.
The Republicans, yes. Did the Republicans say they want to give less money? And their reason, you can agree with it, you can disagree with it.
They also said they wanted to end the unemployment benefits. I remember they wanted to end it because if we keep giving people unemployment, they won't want to return to work. This is what they were fighting for.
No, Troy, I think you're reading the wrong newspapers, my man. And seriously, again, and I'm not here to carry water for anybody. There has never been a bill that Republicans have said we want no one to get unemployment, no one to get enhanced.
I understand that. So you tell me if I'm wrong. There was an expiration on when the unemployment benefits would be. There was an expiration, and then the Democratic Party wanted to extend that, and then the Republican Party did not want to extend it. Is that incorrect?
Wrong. You're wrong again.
I'll go look it up myself then, because I could be wrong.
Put the notes in. The reason why the argument was not over whether or not to extend benefits, it was whether or not how much to give on top. And that is a reasonable argument to have. You may disagree with it, but that is a reasonable argument to have. Just because you want 600 and I want 300 doesn't make you good and make me bad. I may have a very good reason for 300. You may have a very good reason for 600. And I may disagree with you and you may disagree with me. But that's what civilized people can do. And then you can hash out the difference.
Yeah.
But
I would like to get a civilized answer. I would like to get part of that argument.
Is not, because think about it. The bill they just signed now was available in July. And there's room for employment and there's enhanced in this one. So come on.
All right.
And the Republicans gave up saying that we need to have our businesses sheltered, which again, you can make an argument for, you can make an argument against, because the argument for me for is I don't want businesses not opening up or afraid to open up because someone's going to catch COVID through no fault of the owner and be sued.
Okay, we're going to have to leave it at that.
We will.
All right, so this has been another episode of the New Labor Movement Show. I am one of your hosts, Troy.
And I am your other host, Ray.
Until next time, signing off.